The Half-Assed Podcast Network proudly presents the Super Sunday Sports Spectacular.
Super Sunday Sports Spectacular.
Starring Samo and Joe Vegas.
Starring Samo and Joe Vegas.
They're going to take you through the week that was in sports and recap all of the activity. And maybe even have some sound effects and imaging.
Whoa, get it in close now.
So crack a cold one, listening audience, because the Super Sunday Sports Spectacular is here on the Half-Assed Podcast Network. You're welcome.
What's happening, Yikes?
Not much. I thought you were hashed there for a second. Nice trick.
What a day, huh?
Yeah, I missed some of the football because I was busy dealing with stuff, but it was a day. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, fire in the fireplace, watching Red Zone at 1:00 and the Eagles at 4:00, and good bit of Jack Daniels today.
No, right on. Nice. Sounds like a good day. How cold is it where you're at?
So we're back up in the mountains.
Oh, you are? Nice.
Yeah, I think it was about 20 today.
Ooh, okay.
It topped up around 30, but I don't know. I don't think it broke freezing today. So
Gotcha. Were you so you're up there for the holiday?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was awesome.
Good.
Still got some leftovers, trying to figure out how to repurpose them.
Oh my God. I actually went to the fucking grocery store to buy fish because I'm so sick of leftovers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not having it. It's like, yeah. Enough turkey. My mom did this like before Thanksgiving. She's like, my whole family did I don't know if I like turkey anymore. And I was like, Jesus Christ, we're having this conversation a week before Thanksgiving. What are we going to have? Then, of course, nobody could make a decision. So everybody was like, well, I didn't say I didn't like it. I just said I wasn't a fan of it. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like,
yeah.
So, of course, we get turkey. And now we're 2 days afterwards. And my mom's doing the thing again where she's like, I just don't know if I like turkey anymore. And I said, Mom, there's turkey in the freezer downstairs from last fucking Thanksgiving. She's like, well, we can take it down and put it in the freezer. I'm like, well, then we have to put the stuff from last year in the trash. Like, what?
I mean, I am a fan of turkey. I'm not going to say I'm going to eat it like every night, but there's a couple times throughout the year where I make a turkey on a random day, and we do stuffing and we do mashed potatoes and stuff, just because I think it's better than just a couple times a year,
Yeah. I get that.
This time of year, Wawa has the gobbler too. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Wawa gobbler, but it's basically Thanksgiving on a bun.
We don't have Wawa. We only have empty Burger Kings. Yeah.
What's up, Ashy?
Why don't you show Hash your background?
Oh,
this is what he logged in
pool
as.
table? That's the pool table.
No.
That is where the pool
the
table is.
background.
But
In a background. Okay.
Yeah, he logged in with this, and I was seriously confused until he turned this.
Well, it's just where it was left from the last time.
Oh, the Wembanyama.
Like
Yeah, he logged in, and I was like so confused. I was like, wait a minute, Sam Kravitz.
And then my head
like,
popped in there.
Yeah. That you did. That it did.
Yep.
Oh,
I'm missing
man.
the Spurs game right now for this.
Oh, wow. Sorry about that.
Well, fortunately, the Eagles game is already over. Took care of business. And I love the snow game, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was so hard up for a snow game yesterday. I watched the Arkansas college football team play a snow game.
Wow.
I was craving it. Yeah. I don't watch the Razorbacks ever.
Call you
Somebody
Wes
was just
Craven.
like, snow game in Arkansas. I was like, I'm in. Where is it?
Yeah,
They're like, it's on the SEC network. I'm like, I don't give a shit. I've got that. Let's watch it.
You're right. I get that.
And then they're like projecting the yard lines over the snow, and then the players walk in front of it, and then the numbers are in front of the players instead of behind them, and it's weird.
Yep. It is
Can't
weird.
win them all. Can't win them all. Sometimes you can win them though.
Can.
That's sports.
But not all of them.
Not all of them.
No.
I haven't checked my sports betting for the day, and by betting I mean simply the OSC Pick'em League.
Oh, I forgot about that league like
No,
a
yeah, you
month
gave
ago.
up on it a long time
I
ago.
didn't
It's
mean to
okay.
give up on it. I literally did forget about it one week, and I was just like, I'm going to forget about this again next week, and then I did because I was committed to not doing it apparently.
Well, let's see if we can see the standings. Yeah, you are. It's currently 16 and 151.
Nice.
I know
I'm sick.
you tried to get me to do that, Hashi, and I'm getting like less and less into social media lately, and I appreciate you trying. But yeah,
Oh yeah,
I'm pulling back from online, you know.
But that's not
yeah,
social media. That's like Yahoo Sports.
yeah. I literally I go on it for 5 minutes every Tuesday, and then I check on it. Like on Sunday nights. Usually, but it's not much. I don't put really any thought into it. I make all my picks on Tuesdays. I just go with the gut. Think about some amounts of logic. Home underdogs, etc. Check out the point spreads and see what's a close point spread. Some of these things, but I was doing good. I picked New England to win, and I picked the Jets to win. You
Ooh.
know, so those
Jets.
are two. I mean, this is the thing: is the Seahawks are really good at losing when they're supposed to win.
Hmm.
And so it was not that I was picking the Jets, it's that I was picking against the Seahawks. But the thing that I didn't think about was that it was the Jets.
Yeah,
I know you
this was a
did.
competition in futility, and
Yeah.
the Jets keep on finding new and creative ways to lose.
It's
A
a beautiful thing.
And
competition in futility. The fucking Seahawks are leading the NFC West.
I
yeah,
mean, well, yeah, okay, but that's going back and forth every day. You know what I mean? Every
Yeah,
week it's something.
but they're not like there's our levels to futility
But
here. Like
but
the
but
Jets are a
yikes,
whole.
you can agree though that they lose the games that they're supposed to win a lot of the time, and then they
Yeah,
win. They win some crazy games.
I said this
They're
like
always
last
competitive.
week. I eliminated them. You don't have to preach to me. I am the choir.
Well, we can all agree that they're not getting very far into the playoffs. Okay,
Probably not. I
more than
said
likely.
last week
Okay,
they will the reason that they will be I said this on the pod. If you remember, I said the reason why they will not make the playoffs is because they cannot do the center to quarterback exchange. That was literally what I said. I think they did that this week, but to even have that conversation is insane. That is a flag football well, they're not even a center in flag
I
football.
wouldn't
How
call
about a
myself
pee-wee?
sane. I wouldn't call myself sane. So that's all I'm saying.
Did I call you insane?
Maybe no. I'm saying anyone. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I'm not saying.
Well, I wasn't calling
in
myself
case you were
sane.
saying it,
Okay, yeah. We got to be really careful about our language around here and be sure to not call anybody sane.
yeah.
Okay, so the question though, non sequitur, what kind of sequitur? Speaking of insanity, did either of you guys see the new Gladiator yet?
No.
No,
Okay,
I'm
well then
looking forward to it
I
though.
won't go into any details. Not even going to give you my opinion of what I thought on the movie because I don't want to influence your viewing experience.
I do love the original one. I don't usually like set endings, but the first one it was great. Final ending, like how else can it end? And definitely looking forward to seeing the next one.
Oh, yeah. I can't even remember the ending to the first one. I
Well,
need to go back
you
and
don't,
watch
can't
the
remember
first
you
one.
can't remember the ending to the first Gladiator.
I probably went in
Oh,
the
with his
theaters.
hands in the grass,
Oh,
the top of the
yeah.
wheat, and he's touching the top of the wheat of the grass.
Oh, yeah.
That's the very ending. Yeah,
I always get that ending confused with Ernest Goes to Camp.
that's totally understandable.
Is there good? Let me ask you a question. This won't ruin anything, but is there good? There's got to be good pit fighting, right? There's good fighting in the ring and stuff.
Well, of course, I
Yeah,
mean, you gotta have pit fighting. I will
good, good.
say that they do one thing in the pit, in the ring, in the Coliseum, that is historically accurate, which was pretty cool.
Okay,
You
awesome.
know,
I'm looking forward to seeing that one.
I had
Yeah.
a funny thing over the weekend. You said the pit, and then I thought of the nostalgia pit, and then I was remembering
I just
yesterday.
recorded the pit. I literally just got off.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about other podcasts of recent past, and I was realizing that yesterday I was watching that Miami lost to Syracuse, in college football. And they kept saying like things like, "Oh, it's chaos in the dome." And I've never been to the dome in Wisconsin, but all I could think of was that bar that Samo and Joe were talking
Oh,
to us from.
The one that's closed on Sundays, the sports bar
Yeah,
that's closed on
yes.
Sundays in the football
Yeah,
season.
that's
yeah.
why there's chaos there because
There
they're
was
not showing the
chaos at the
Packers game.
dome. Yep. And it was that guy, it was that guy Oscar.
Shout out Oscar.
Shout
He kept
out
showing
Oscar.
up no matter what bar, no matter which of the 4 bars we were in, he showed
There's
up.
only 4 bars.
There's only, yeah.
But it's like a mile between each of them. It's crazy.
So there was this kid, I used to go to music festivals when I was like late high school and stuff like that, just out of high school. And there was this one kid, and he was 2 years younger than me, and maybe even 3 years younger than me. But he hung out with some of my friends because he was on the swim team, and they were, on the swim team as well. So somehow this guy like started hanging out. He's one of those kids that was like chill. He smoked weed for, at a pretty young age. So we allowed him to hang out with us. But then he became kind of overbearing after, a while. And so we were at a festival at Bumbershoot. And, it's like you kind of float around the festival. This kid kept finding us. He was like tiny, he was like 5'2". And so my other friend nicknamed him Visa because he was everywhere you want to be. And like, you could not shake this dude. I'm telling you.
That's a great.
Oh man. And with that, I think we hit the sounder for the
All
night.
right. Let's hit it.
Tonight we have Joe Vegas is on special location again. He may or may not join us. As you guys know, he is on a special assignment, and we'll see if he checks in or not. But in the absence of Joe, we have Hashy. What's up, Hash?
So
Yikes Mountain. What are we doing here?
I'm just here so I don't get fined, Samo.
I think why don't we start with college? And that's not something that usually comes out of my mouth, but Ohio State. So I'm a fair weather Penn State fan. I love seeing Ohio State lose, probably more than Penn State win. And they lost. They dropped the game to Michigan. Melee at the end.
I have comments on that also.
Yep.
A whole bunch of comments.
So Penn State, I believe, is now 4 playing Oregon number 1 next week or the following week. So pretty exciting. My fair weather fandom is peaking.
Yeah, it's a really good year. Like, I don't know that I've been as engaged. I always follow college football relatively closely, but this year there's a combination of things going on. Obviously, the 12-team playoff is like a huge deal, and there have been some murderous weeks. Like watching it, like there was a scenario last night where like if Texas had lost, it would have been Texas, Georgia, Tennessee was trailing for a while. And it was like legitimately looking like maybe it was a possibility there'd be one SEC team in the playoff, which would just piss everyone off in the SEC and make me extremely happy. Is this bro just picking up like a pool stick as I'm doing my college football? Okay.
No, he does this. This is part of the, the gimmick.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't.
It's like sometimes you gotta, if you got it, shoot it. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. I lost my total train of thought as this guy was like queuing up. No, it's fine. It's fine.
I'm not like how I'm apologizing for.
I know. But yeah, it's been a really interesting. It's been a really interesting college football season. I think that Miami losing was super interesting. That is, I don't know. I'm just basically, it's very, very interesting because like all of these end of the season games, like frankly, they matter more. Like there's the rivalry part to it, obviously, and I'll get to that in a minute. But like there are just like you see teams. Like Iowa State had their first 10-2 season ever in history after they won last night, and they're back in the mix. And we got Indiana in the mix. These are like college basketball teams.
But I think I think the difference, like being that it used to be before you drop one and you're out of it, and if you drop one and then some chaos happens, you're still in it. But you drop 2, you're definitely out of it. Now, like I don't know, they can play a little more free. It's still wide open. Rooting for chaos is even more likely, you know. So I think it's definitely it was a smart thing to do. It's opening it wide up.
Well, think about this aspect, and nobody's talked about this much, but like the idea that when this playoff is set, these games are not played in domes. These are not select locations. These are going to be home games for teams.
Right.
There's going to be a team from the
Wait.
SEC who might have to play in snow.
They're
And
being
that's
played
not-
at the Dome.
Well,
As long as it's not on Sunday.
the championship will be in the dome. I believe it's in Atlanta this year.
The Dome.
A
Dome
dome.
City.
I've been to that
The-
stadium, by the way. Have either of you guys been there?
No.
So
Never
I
been
feel
to
like
Atlanta.
you could look this up, but I feel like it has a third deck. There's like a lower level, a middle level, and then a whole third level, and then this big circle with this. It feels like a spaceship. It feels like any second you're gonna get like beamed through the ceiling. It's a really weird fucking stadium.
That's
And
the
if you're
Georgia
at the
Dome,
top,
right?
you're looking straight down to the field, like straight down. These are
Yeah, I haven't. I know. Yeah, I have not been there, and I think that I was right on that it's there this year. But they always do the championship game in that. But like basically, the idea is that you could have like a team, like Georgia, playing at Notre Dame in a fucking snowstorm. Georgia
Yeah.
doesn't play in snowstorms. What's that going to look like? You know, like that's a totally different thing, and I think it's going to make for really, really interesting playoff football. I will say something about this weekend. The Georgia Tech game was insane. It was 8 overtimes. The college
Eight?
football 8.
Eight?
8. Yep.
Octo
That's the
overtime?
most ever, right? That's the most.
Nope. 9 is the most ever. They were very close, which is
Right.
insane. And I was cheering for 9, except for the fact that I thought somebody might die.
Yeah, like there's
No, I
got
want like
you have to be
20
worried about-
overtimes.
Yeah,
Let's
they
just do
can't play 20. The Georgia Tech quarterback threw for almost 400 yards and rushed 26 times for like 150. He was about ready to fall over.
That's
Like
not enough. What are you talking about?
Not enough.
It's not
But
enough.
well, I'm
What are we
glad to
doing?
know the spirit of Joe is still here. But but essentially, this gets me to my point about this weekend, which is in combination with all this late season get into the playoff chaos, we're still dealing with rivalry games, right? And the Georgia Tech game was literally like 4+ hours because you count all 8. And the announcers do this shit, and I fucking hate it. And this is officially my statement on this. Bear with me. Is the Georgia Tech game is a rivalry. It goes way back. And I don't know if this is something they just invented for this rivalry or if they've been saying this for years, but the announcers must have said the phrase old-fashioned hate at least 100 times.
Damn.
They even said clean old-fashioned hate at one point, which I found to be quite funny. What is clean old-fashioned hate? I guess it's like the softer, nicer kind of hate. I don't know. But the fact that you've got 2 Georgia teams and the announcers keep saying old-fashioned hate over and over again, it's very, very, very uncomfortable after a while. And so the good news is those teams played. It went into 8 overtimes and it was all good. So the next day we're watching Michigan and Ohio State. That's another rivalry that's gone on forever. And the issue is the same thing, where the announcers, I believe it's Gus Johnson and Trent Glad at this point, are basically doing, oh my God, this rivalry. These teams hate each other. They hate each other. This is so awful, whatever, etc. They're going on about like how much animosity is going on in these games, which is real, right? Like, you know, the coaches are telling the teams, like, this is your rival. This is a big deal.
This is what the coaches get fired over or don't get fired over these kind of rivalry games.
Exactly. So here lies my question. Michigan and Ohio State have a good game. Like it's a good game. It's close. It's low scoring. It's obviously really a highly tense situation because these teams hate each other. So after the game, they fight.
Yep.
And what happens is that Michigan tries to plant a flag on the field, which, by the way, Baker Mayfield did, and everybody loved the shit out of him, and he won the Heisman. But in this case, no Baker Mayfield. It's just a bunch of dudes fighting in the middle of the field, and they get tear gassed. Now, I can't tell you how many times I've watched students rush fields and assault basically the opposing team, tear down goalposts. I've never seen the cops pepper spray anyone.
I've done it. I've rushed the field before. We can come back to
Right.
it, but
And that's one thing. Like it sucks that that happened, but what sucks even more is Gus Johnson and Trent Klatt are on the TV, and literally as this is happening, they're acting like it's fucking 9/11. Like they are, oh my God, we can't have this. We can't, oh my, this is just not, this is out of line. Everything. Dude, 10 minutes ago, you were saying these teams fucking hate each other and it's been going back 100 years. And now suddenly we're at this out of line point where people are getting pepper sprayed.
well,
Like,
so I think a riot starts with like one person throwing a haymaker, and then I have to defend him, and you have to defend him, and then it goes overboard. When Baker Mayfield did it, he did it. Nobody overreacted. It kind of calmed down. And it was over. This one, as soon as a couple people start mixing it up, then everybody mixes it up, and then it's a thing. So this, like, they're definitely going to implement new rules to dissuade a melee like this. There's going to be like harsher fines to the schools and other things that actually they're going to make sure this doesn't become a regular thing, and this thing doesn't trickle down to high school and shit like that.
I don't know, man. All I'm telling you is that I've watched college football for a very long time, and I've never seen cops come out of the fucking stands or wherever they were by the sidelines and come out and start pepper spraying players. Never.
Right.
Never happened before, never seen it before. And the idea is that all sorts of shitty behavior happens at football stadiums all the time with fans. I've never seen them pepper sprayed. And all of this shit is when a couple guys are fighting, and mind you, it's usually black guys, is when it's suddenly like all these guys aren't behaving and we're pepper spraying them. Some visuals come up for me, and all the language around it is super, super coded and shit that we should probably be talking about.
Gotcha.
Yeah, some like I don't like this shit at all. And to just put my last point on this, basically, the Ohio State campus police said we will investigate the manor, and you know what that means? No, they won't.
Right.
You know what the cops said? We're going to let the campus cops handle it. No, they won't. You know what's also going to happen? The NCAA can't suspend these guys. You think the teams are going to suspend these guys? No. Ryan Day's not going to suspend these guys because you know what? That game might as well been called Training Day, and the movie is about Ryan Day getting off the field alive. Like he's lucky that he even has a job. So that whole thing really pissed me off. And this kind of like, let's talk up all these hate between these guys and these teams and literally use the word hate. And then they fight afterwards. And it's like, look at these losers and the way they're acting is totally, totally bullshit. So that's it. That's it.
Good analysis. And I didn't see it, so I read about it after and heard about it after. I didn't see it, but definitely a different element to it that I didn't realize. So I stormed a court, not a field, one time. So Villanova was playing Syracuse, and this was years ago before Villanova won a couple of championships. So I'm going to say maybe 15 years ago ish, 10, 15
Okay.
years ago. So we're at the Wells Fargo Center where the Sixers play, and they don't usually play there, but it was a big game because Syracuse was number one at the time, and we were, 17 or something. So we win, we pull off the stunner. When I say we, I'm all fair weather Villanova fan, just like a fair weather.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But my boy went to Nova, and he has season tickets, and we're sitting like row 20 in the behind the basket. So Villanova pulls out at the outset. Everybody's just running down to the court. And me and my friend, who are older than virtually everyone in the arena 15 years ago, look at each other and we go, fuck it. So we run down. So we're running around on the court like idiots. I'm like, I can still get rim. And I'm running, I'm getting a handful of net. I can't get rim. I'm like, I can get rim. And like after the third or fourth time, the security guard just looked at me. He's like, you're going to tear your ACL, dude. Get out of here. And I was like, you're right. So I got out of there. Never got rim.
Yeah.
But ran the court. Why the fuck not?
And I think, and yeah, like, you're lucky. You probably should have been tased.
Yeah, well, they
I'm
couldn't.
just kidding.
It was the whole stadium. I swear,
Right.
everyone was on the court. It was like, and a basketball court is a lot smaller than a football field. It was a mosh pit on the whole fucking court. But
Yeah, I like it. All this, like the way people judge and like like all of the things that happen on a field, like after a game, especially at a college level, has always really bugged me. I remember that way back in the day when Oregon, Hash, you probably remember this, but they had a game at Boise State. And I don't have any love for Boise State and that school. And I don't have a whole lot of love for the state of Idaho. And I can say that because I live about 20 miles from it. But like all those kids when Boise State beat Oregon when they're ranked number one, they rushed the field and they were talking shit right in the LeGarrette Blount's face, and he just punched a motherfucker out. And that ended up not only being a huge deal that he had to apologize to everyone for, but that cost him millions of dollars, and he ended up falling in the draft because he punched a student in the face who was literally who knows what calling him, I don't know. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, that kid deserved getting punched in the face. Legit. And LeGarrette Blount got like completely bastardized for that. So this has been a long running thing for me is like, yeah, walk on the field and talk shit to an athlete and you get punched and you're the victim. Yeah. Okay. So anyway.
Yeah, you walk in the field, whatever happens to you. You made that stupid decision. And the athlete should be fearing for his life.
No shit.
Athletes have gotten stabbed on the court,
Totally.
So what about Washington State? I have to admit, I'm not paying attention, so fill me in because this is a Washington State podcast.
Yeah, it's been a disappointing, like I was really hyped on them and then they did what they do. They dropped the last 3 games of the season. They had a chance if they ran the table after the Boise State loss, they would have been like a 13-1 team, I think something like that. But they ended up dropping a game to New Mexico that they should have won, and then it just snowballed from there. Last night
I wasn't trying to rub it in. I was honest.
No, it's cool. They did the most Washington State thing of all. Is last night they were playing a Wyoming team that was horrible, and they ended up just like losing. And it was like I know that when they lost to New Mexico, it was like that was it. They still had like a 18% chance to make the playoff. Just think that was too much for them. Fun team to watch. We got next year. So, yeah. So we'll put a cap on that one. They'll make a bowl. You'll hear about it from me.
Some good college analysis right there. I think maybe move into football. We have there were some awesome games this week. We have eliminations to make.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so the Eagles played at 4:00, which I love. That's my favorite thing because I can really just sit and watch Red Zone for the 1:00 games. I can do all 8, 10 games or whatever is at 1:00 and get it all in, and then relax, breathe, and then just sit down and watch the Eagles. And that went well. And then just still the night game, which I have on. So like Sunday football day is just a great day. But any games in the 1:00 games that stood out because there were some good ones that came down to the very end.
Are you talking about 1:00 your time? So those are the 10 a.m. games?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry. No, I had to get that straight.
Yeah.
Hash, you got anything on this?
Just that 3 teams are now mathematically eliminated from playoff contention. So
that's good to know.
Regardless of what we think, the Patriots, the Raiders, and the Giants are ineligible.
Wow.
Ineligible.
Shout out to all those people who are holding out hope in this week's edition of NFL for those teams.
I thought the Giants could do it, man.
Oh man,
the Jaguars, is that someone that got eliminated? Or were they already eliminated?
I don't think they're eliminated yet.
I don't think they are technically mathematically eliminated because Houston is 8-5. In the number one?
Did we see the? Go ahead, Samuel.
I was just going to say. So I mean, a couple that jump out to me, like the Texans barely squeak out a win over the Jaguars. And they're supposed to be a playoff team, but they're not really going anywhere. And I like CJ Stroud, but he's had a bad year. That one jumps out as like a squeaking it by bad win. If there's a bad win.
Did you see what went down in that game?
Yeah. So, okay. I actually don't think the hit on Trevor Lawrence was dirty.
Wow.
You saw it, right? You saw it in real time?
I mean, I
because
don't see it in real time, but I
he's
saw it.
he's coming in, he's sliding. He's not doing the slide where you slide and give yourself up early. He's doing the slide where I slide at the very last second while the guy has already launched to hit him while he's still standing up. And Trevor Lawrence is a big guy. And the safety, who's probably given up 40 pounds to him, goes to hit him, and Trevor Lawrence does that really quick slide down thing. Watch it in slow motion, man. The guy is coming right at the middle of his body, and Trevor dives and ducks right into that hit. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to do that to people like that. Tua did the same thing. Tua, with his last concussion, he put his head down into the hit. There's at a certain point, a defender can't avoid a situation like that. And I think that was actually, and even the announcers are saying it was an outright dirty hit and blah blah blah. And I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know what that guy could do to actually avoid that situation.
Well, I think there's one thing he could do, which is really highly, highly outlawed, and it's outlawed in the new rules that they've stated, is you can't lead a tackle with the forearm shiver to the head of a quarterback or anybody else. You can't do that. And that's exactly what he did.
I feel like he was
arm
coming
out.
in at his midsection, and then Trevor Lawrence ducked as he's coming into like basically his waist, and Trevor Lawrence ducks into it. Let's both watch it again and then report back if we still believe the same thing or if we see something different.
I didn't, when I say I didn't see it in real time, I was driving my car.
Yeah.
I had NFL Red Zone and I had it on, and I was at a stoplight. I saw the replay and then I watched it in real time afterwards. And I just think we are probably going to agree to disagree on this one.
Okay.
I mean, the league protects quarterbacks, and like there's a protocol for like definitely making sure that you don't try to aim any part of your tackle towards the quarterback's head. And he did all of those things. Like,
he has to stop sliding 5 yards or maybe 10 yards before he even gets to that point.
nobody
He has
has
to
to
stop
slide.
his motion before he gets anywhere near that guy. And then Trevor Lawrence drops, man. He does.
I don't know what league you've been watching, and this is no offense to you because I know you watch a lot of the league, but like sliding 10 yards into a tackle is something I've never witnessed in my life.
I mean,
10 yards?
10 years ahead, that would be really great foresight.
10
But
years would be something else, but 10 yards, like starting your slide 10 yards before the guy's coming at you does not happen.
I understand them calling a penalty for it in this NFL. They call penalties for far less. But when the announcers were in real time, like really frying that defender, and obviously he got ejected from the game and everything, I thought that was a little bit jury executioner. I don't think it was as bad as they made it out to be. I really don't. And I don't think Lawrence did it on purpose by any means. I just don't know what a defender can do in that situation. I don't know. It's so fast. They're so big. They're running up and up the field. It's bang bang, man.
I think when you're in a league where basically the worst press you could possibly get because the league hates it so much is having a quarterback who keeps getting concussed and concussions in general. That play, that's a bad for business play. And I think it's just it's very like that tackle 10 years ago. Okay, maybe. But like the idea that you're going into a tackle with a forearm shiver towards anybody's skull, like you don't lead with your arms. You lead with your shoulders, and pretty much he didn't do that at all. There was nothing standard about that tackle.
All right, well, let's both watch it again.
Okay. Sure.
And report back to each other. We don't have to be on a pod.
Okay.
We'll just be like, yep, you were right, or oh, okay.
Fair enough.
So
fair enough.
Real quick, I'm gonna have to cut out a little early tonight.
Okay.
Because of the veterinary stuff that I have to do. I have to go to 4 different locations here after this podcast.
Oh my God. All right.
I want to play something for you that I heard on another podcast before you leave, because if you have to leave early, you have to listen to this, because this is a funny crossover from another podcast that I listened to ours. And when I heard it, the first thing I thought about was, oh my God, are they one of the dozens? Are the people? And they have like way more than a couple dozen followers on this podcast. But I'm gonna play it. If it doesn't come through, I'll ask Ron to do it in post. But take a listen to this.
It feels like a really long time. Yeah. So I'm glad it's back. I'm glad I'm back watching it from my TV because it is a different experience. But I will start out day one saying We got no Ted Fuji because, as Wilford Brimley says, he's got diabetes. Remember that diabetes commercial from the 80s, 90s, where, okay, well, anyway, Wilford Brimley he was like this old 80s actor. And actually, he wasn't old. He just always looked old. And he did a commercial for diabetes. But he kept saying, I got diabetes. And everyone's like, I don't think that's the way it's pronounced. But anyway, I digress. Ted and Fuji will not be here. Number of ailments, but one of them is diabetes. We all wait. Hopefully one day he'll return, but until then, we'll hope for a new Yokozuna to be born sooner than later.
Yeah.
I just was excited to see Takeru Fuji
Diabetes.
in there. The
Ron, cue the
bronze
song.
that he
Can't stop it. Okay, so
Yeah, Ron, you gotta hit the song, Ron.
Hi, I'm Wilford Brimley. You know, when you first find out from your doctor, you got diabetes, it can be mind-boggling. Diabetes.
how unbelievable was that? Not only did she talk about Wilford Brimley, she talked about diabetes, and then she talked about he wasn't really that old. He just looked old. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm going to reach out to him and be like, are you one of the dozens? And see.
Are you listening to me?
So what are they actually talking about?
So here's what the
Sumo.
deal is. So
And they're talking about sumo also?
this is a podcast called Sumo Kaboom that I listen to. These are two ladies in Texas who are avid sumo fans, even way more than me. One of them used to live in Japan. They were both in Japan at this last tournament and attended it. No, not the one that just happened in November, the one before. They attended the last one in person and reported back and everything. So anyway, so Teruno Fuji is the only Yokozuna currently, but he's been out for a couple tournaments and he has diabetes. He has other health ailments. He's probably going to end up having to retire because as soon as they go to lose their rank, they lose all their honor or whatever, and then they'll just retire before they lose rank. So it's probably going to happen soon. And then there'll be no Yokozunas. So that's what they're talking about. And they go to the Wilford Brimley bit when they're talking about the most serious thing in the. So anyway.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
But
Wow.
real quick, just to wrap up the sumo corner before you go. So the wrestler that won this current tournament is named Kodo Zakura. His grandfather was a Yokozuna before. His father is the boss of the stable, basically the place they wrestle out of currently. And he won this tournament from the second highest rank. He's very likely to get promoted to Yokozuna, and he'll be the first Japanese Yokozuna in I think 5 years or 10 years. As I've said before, it's dominated by Mongolia, other places. So it's pretty big deal.
Nice. Excellent. Wow.
Love it.
That's quite a thread. Yes, me too.
Okay, so before we go though, or before I go, I'm sorry, because you guys can still obviously do stuff. I want to do eliminations because it's my favorite
Yes.
part.
Mhm.
So Troy, I saw that we got a text from Troy. He has eliminated his NFL team and his NBA team. So let's start NFL. Troy has eliminated the Indianapolis Colts. There we go. That's the way
Okay.
to say it.
Nailed it.
Nailed
Yep.
it. Ah,
Okay.
I did that one well.
And what that means is the entire AFC South is now
Yep.
eliminated. So Texans, Titans, Jaguars, and the Colts are now gone. So bye-bye
Dang,
AFC.
this is getting really hard. Holy shit.
Bye. Yikes! Do you have your next? Or do either of you guys have one selected? I have one selected. If you don't,
I can
Go ahead. Go ahead, Hash.
okay. Well, I feel like there are some teams that you clearly don't want to eliminate and that should be in the final six. There's some teams that I feel like they could get there, but I don't think that they will get there. I don't think that the Arizona Cardinals are going to make that run.
Okay.
The Vikings got off the schneid over the Cardinals barely today.
They schneided.
I need to talk about that.
Yeah, you also got Daniel Jones now, right? Are you happy about that?
We do?
Yeah, he went to the Vikings, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah.
That's fine, dude. When you get a backup quarterback for league minimum, it's a great thing. If he's a heartbeat, if he's Daniel Jones and you have him for league minimum, and the Giants are paying the rest of it, that's
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
that's
Do you guys
fantastic.
have any idea who the backup is for the Vikings?
I thought it was the rookie, right?
No, he's injured.
Oh,
Don't know. Neither does he.
No, I know. I'm trying to see if I can get Hash to guess it. This would be what would be the guess here?
Sam.
What?
I
I think he went to.
Red Rock.
Let me see what. No,
Red Rifle.
no. College. Let's see if I can figure this out. Yes. Okay. So here's the tell if you
That was
can
a
figure this
great-
out. He went to Oregon State.
I don't know college football players.
Okay. Samo, does that ring a bell for you?
No.
Gary Payton II.
No.
Oh wait, wrong sport. Sorry.
No. It's Sean Mannion.
I've never heard that name in my life.
Me
Okay.
neither.
Really? You guys have never heard that?
Never, not once.
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what year he graduated from college because he's been in the league a very long time. He came out of the league. Let's see, he was the starting quarterback at Oregon State from 2011 to 2014. He was picked third by the St. Louis Rams in the third round by the Rams in 2015.
I've never heard of him either.
Yep.
I
So
thought you said Sean Marion, like the basketball player. I heard
No,
him.
Mannion.
here's
Like
here's
Canyon
here's a
with
quick
M.
here's a quick rundown of why we need Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones.
There's
Yes.
a cat. There's a cat on the podcast.
Ron, there's a cat. Hit the sounder.
Okay, you guys. Sean Mannion's been in the league since 2015. His career stats: he's thrown 1 TD, he's got 3 picks, and he's thrown for 573 yards. That's our backup.
That's a lot. That's a lot of confidence.
Yeah, that's why I have no problem with Daniel Jones. So,
Okay. Well, all right. Established. Who are you eliminating? That's the
before I
real
get to
question.
that, the one last thing very,
Oh.
very quickly. Listen, we already eliminated the Vikings. The Vikings had a comeback today with about 2 minutes and 20 seconds. They were led by Sam Darnold. As I watched it, I felt no anxiety. I actually felt optimism. These are 2 words not associated with being a Vikings fan at all. So they went down and they scored and they won the game. And down in Atlanta, good old Kirky Cousins boy
Oh, I was
threw
watching. He was
four
awful.
picks today.
Kurt.
Yeah, I saw
Four.
him. 2 of them are in a row. Weren't 2 of them like back to back? Like he
Yes.
gets right back on the field. And
It's
he
like
does it again.
Kurt Russell or Kurt Gibson.
That other guy with the mustache.
Yep.
Well,
Kurt.
so we got Colts. We got Cardinals. Who are you eliminating? You still haven't said. He's filibustering. He's Joe styling, keeping Hashi on the pod.
But I seriously got to go in like 10 minutes at most.
Well, I don't know if this can be possible, but I'm obviously going to eliminate the Panthers.
Okay, that one was hanging out there. Although,
Yeah,
I
what's his
thought
face is
that
putting
wasn't
better.
a real. I thought that they had already been eliminated.
Oh, I
Nope,
thought you were going
they're
to say you
still on
didn't
there.
think they were a real team, and I was going to say that they're not.
Unlike the NBA, the NFL does have cat teams.
They do have cats. They have lots of cats. I was very excited when the Carolina Panthers became a team when I was a child.
Mhm.
I liked their colors. I still like their color
Mhm.
scheme. They're great colors.
It's true.
I lived
Sure.
in the Carolinas for 5 years. They were definitely my secondary team. Went to a couple games.
Very
For a
nice.
minute.
So it's my turn.
So you lived in the Carolinas, like both of them?
Pretty much.
I had a house that was half in North, half in South
I
Carolina.
mean, pretty much. So I was at Camp Lejeune, which is right on the border, the Carolinas, North Carolina.
Camp Lejeune. Did you get a lawsuit
We've
settlement?
been through this. I'm too young for a lawsuit. That's old. That's beyond the Wilford Brimley line. But we were right on the border, and I would go down to South Carolina all the time to get liquor because their stores were open on Sunday and other
Gotcha.
things.
Of course.
But last week I eliminated the Cowboys. It was my distinct pleasure doing
mhm.
so.
Yes.
And this
Mhm.
week I will eliminate the Washington Commanders.
I knew that was coming.
Despite the fact they put a 42 burger up on the Titans, because
The
Titans,
Titans, though.
yeah, it's the Titans. The Commanders fell to the Cowboys last week, which I never like to see the Cowboys win, and I'm rooting against them against anyone else. I always say my second favorite team is the team whoever's playing the Cowboys, but it was funny seeing them basically keep the Commanders from being able to win our division. So more for what you did last week than this week. Bye-bye, Commanders.
Saw that coming. Yeah, we're really down to the nitty-gritty now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're gritting it.
And I think we're going to cut it to 4 and then leave it. I think. I mean, that's what Joe did with baseball. It was really his thing.
It was 6.
I thought Joe cut it down to 4 at the end, I thought.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure when the Dodgers won, it was one of 4 teams that he had. And that was the only team that he had of the 4, but he got it.
Got it. Well, basketball, though.
Yep.
Troy eliminated the Wizards. That was a tough pick. I don't know how he came.
I mean,
it was a hard choice.
I love that Troy picked the Cavs and the Wizards. Like, it's like one week he's doing a bit, and the next week he's like, nah, maybe I'll take this seriously.
I mean, if we were doing this for like
It's a spike pick.
If we were eliminating basketball teams in a given season at some point in the next 10 years in the future, the Wizards would be a reasonable pick because they're probably going to suck forever. So
yeah,
I like that pick. Solid.
It's
pick.
a franchise I mean, I'm not going to say that I'm picking any of these teams, but teams like the Charlotte Hornets or the Chicago Bulls is a pretty safe pick for the next decade plus.
Yep.
I would like to go on record, because I don't think anybody has ever said this before, but I'm going to officially say that the Washington basketball franchise has the Jordan curse.
Well, they shouldn't have changed their name from Bullets, too.
Well, they shouldn't have done that, but they have the Jordan curse because they took on Michael Jordan when he was washed, and that they've never had a single good thing happen since that happened. Never,
But
not one.
They weren't good for the 20 years before that, though.
They had Wes Unseld. They had a couple moments. Like they don't have anything since
they
then.
had John Wall. They had, Bradley Beal had a moment.
Yeah. They also had people
some good players
playing Russian roulette in the locker room.
I mean, yeah, Gilbert Arenas.
Hash, please tell me you're going to eliminate the Magic after you uneliminated them. After you eliminated them and uneliminated them, please.
That was me.
Re-eliminate them. That would be awesome.
I eliminated them.
Yeah, Yikes was the one that eliminated him. I convinced him to uneliminate them.
Correct.
Right.
And that is not the team that I will be picking today, but if Yikes wants to pick them,
I do not. I've thoroughly realized my fault there in eliminating them, so I'm not eliminating them.
Okay.
No.
So it's early in the season, obviously, but I have a plethora of teams that I could easily and comfortably.
This is a lot easier than the football. The football is nitty gritty. This one, there's all kinds of shit spread all over this standings right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I will eliminate the Portland Trail Blazers.
Well, I saw that coming too. Yeah.
Let's be real. I mean, it's not that I dislike them, and it's not that I think that they can't be competitive, because they can put down, decent basketball right now. They're coming along, all right. But their window is not. It's nowhere near. You know what I mean?
No.
They're on the dark side of the moon when it comes to windows. And so, yeah, they got to figure out some things, reassemble some assets, and then move along. So, Portland Trail Blazers, you can get out.
Fair enough. I know it's a long season. I know I do expect this team to play better. I think they have a really, really good young player, which is lucky that they have, because there's some optimism. But I'm going to eliminate the Sixers, Sam.
Oh, I knew it.
I knew it when you said a young player. Yep.
I knew it was coming.
Oh, yeah. I can't, this is past the point of this is like, if you're still thinking this team's going to the playoffs, this is the kind of, you're the person that's kind of like you meet somebody and she's on her 6th marriage she just got out of, and you're like, I can fix her. And you're not fixing the Sixers. No.
Well, to be to be fair, there was a team, I can't remember which one, that started 3-16, still made the playoffs.
Well, this isn't about making the playoffs.
They will make the playoffs, but
They'll
this
make
is
the
not about making the
playoffs.
playoffs. This is about winning the championship, and definitely the mojo is not there for that.
No, it's not.
They could be a strong low seed though. You know what I mean?
So-
It's one of those things where I also wouldn't be surprised if they clicked.
They will
But
be
also-
a very strong low seed, but as much as it hurt when you said it and you saw me react visually,
did.
you saw me like I was stabbed.
You've already accepted it.
I can't argue the
Mhm.
you know the fundamentals of it. But let me jump in with the Brooklyn Nets.
Oh, yeah.
And I was so I usually
what I was
sit
debating.
I usually my seats are up top level, first row, upper deck, center court, which are my favorite seats because I have glass in front of me. I can see everything left to right. But just on this one night, I had sold my seats and went with a larger crowd, and we were row 1 on the baseline, so not courtside, but it's the first row behind basically the hockey boards. Like I was putting my beer on the hockey boards. And the first half, the Nets were on this basket, and I was whispering sweet nothings to Ben Simmons the whole time, and I can guarantee you he heard me. And I wasn't crude, I wasn't cruel, but I let him know that I was there and that we were not going to forget him the whole time. And in the fourth quarter, when he made his first basket, I told him, "You're really filling up the stat sheet there, Ben." And I think he just looked back at me for a second. But anyway, the Nets, when your $30 million player is making his first basket in the fourth quarter, it's going to be a little while till you shake that stink off.
I mean, he's truly fascinating, like in terms of just I don't think I've ever really seen anything quite like it, you know? Like there was Markelle Fultz, he kind of was like that, but like then he figured it out and he's like absolutely a baller defensively and a good player.
His
But
was like I think in good faith thing. I think Ben Simmons faked some things and lied about some things. Markelle Fultz really just his shoulder was fucked up and his shot was fucked up for a while.
I mean, in Ben Simmons, I guess it's like not good faith, but like if it truly is like just that the guy, I sense that there's a person out there who really doesn't like playing basketball. And it almost looks like he unlearned how to play basketball, which is almost impossible to do. Like, I don't know how you do that. So I don't know what's going on there.
I don't wish him ill will as a person.
No, me either.
I really hope nobody gives him money again. I really hope he finds another thing to do and live in Hollywood and date Cardi B and stuff, and that's fine. And let's see you taking 3-point shots and free throws in the gym all off season like we have the last 10 years, and then he comes in and he bricked. There were 2 layups. I saw it with my own eyes. He bricked 2 layups. I don't even know how it's possible to brick them. It was like basically you had to just finger roll it up there, and he like hit it off the backboard and it went out to the free throw line. It's like it was absolutely incredible, totally in his head.
I saw that replay. Yeah,
unbelievable.
It's basketball yips, is it not?
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I agree with Samo. I don't have any ill will for him towards him, and I think honestly, I think it would be cool if he just kind of like retired and did something that he enjoyed. I truly mean that without being cynical. It just doesn't seem like he's super into it. So
Totally.
I think maybe if he like got to a point where he could be on a vet minimum contract, the pressure would be a lot lower.
possibly.
You know, but also him going to like play for Australia or play for a different something else could help. But yeah, he's averaging 6 and 6 right now.
That makes
that
a
mean
ton of
he's
sense. Going to play in Europe or another good league, that makes a ton of sense.
Totally.
Yep. All right, gentlemen. Well, sorry to cut out early, but it was good seeing both of you.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk again soon.
All
See
right.
ya, Hash.
Later, Hash.
Bye.
Thanks.
Peace.
And then there were 2.
And there were 2.
Yeah.
Good shit, man.
Good thing I don't have diabetes.
Is that crazy or what, man?
That's so nuts, man.
So they're sisters. You'll hear it again when this episode posts. But she starts talking about it, and they're sisters that do the podcast. And she says, do you remember this?" And her sister just goes, "No."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Okay, well, anyway." And she presses on for almost 30 seconds, and her sister just feel her squirming around.
I think that like I haven't heard. I gotta say, with like maybe I'm not listening to all the podcasts out there, but I feel with pretty decent certainty that we are the Wilford Brimley podcast. Like,
Yes,
there's
they
no
heard
way.
it from us, right?
There's no way that like some podcast is randomly mentioning
Oh,
Wilford
so
Brimley.
so
Oh,
I've been planning on reaching out to these girls to see if they wanted me to come on and talk about sumo and talk about our experiences there. And
mhm.
now I'm gonna lead off the message with this. I'm like,
Yeah,
are you one of the dozens? Because
yeah,
the Wilford Brimley thing, and if they go, what are you talking about? Then
yeah,
that's one
yeah,
response. And if they go, they say some other line,
yeah, yeah.
what are we doing
Now,
here, man?
so you're not in the Discord because I know you're not so much of an online guy. But I was doing a little research and I found the actual Brimley line.
Okay.
And it is an actual county in Michigan called Brimley.
Is that a county? Brimley is a county?
Yeah, I can find it for you, but the bottom line is that it's very small. There's a county line. It's got a shape. It's got a casino. Uh,
Is this like a possible site for Rontoberfest #3?
no, it's not because we already discussed it and we all realized that the idea and the irony of going to Brimley, rural Michigan for a parade versus Las Vegas is that nobody is committed to a bit that hard.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
but I want to replant the seeds for Rontoberfest in July at Pocono Raceway. Because I have the infield camping. You can see the races from the campsite. You don't even have to leave your tent.
mhm.
And it would be basically a BYOT situation, bring your own tent. And I know you got some experience with that, so do I.
I have a little.
For
Mhm.
extended periods of time.
Yeah. When is that?
It is, I'll post the dates officially, but it's sometime in July. I want to say like July 20th range.
Okay.
And it's for the
Okay.
weekend. It's Friday through Monday.
Okay.
There's races Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we'll put it out. We'll see if we can, the numbers keep increasing every time.
Yep. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So I think we've eliminated our teams. I think this would be a good point for you, and I don't even know if we need to do this, but the Eagles look really good.
Yeah.
It's for real this time. I mean, like it's for real this time. You guys won a Super Bowl not too long ago, but this team, like specifically after some of the struggles early in the season, I think they're the best looking team in the NFC. And probably it's not even super close.
Yeah, I mean it's them and the Lions.
It is.
That's tier one. I think they're 1A and 1B. But the surprising thing with the Eagles really is the defense. And
Yeah.
they got two guys out of the draft, two rookies that are playing their ass off. And then plenty of other players, and obviously Vic Fangio. You have an adult in the room now running the defense. Same thing on the offense. Kellen Clemens, you can see, Sirianni is not. There's no difference there, but the difference between an offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator, an actual one versus last year, is obvious.
Right.
Chiefs kind of look like we did last year, and I know it's a
Mhm.
little blasphemous because they have won 2 Super Bowls in a row, but they're leaking oil like we were leaking oil last year. They're just barely squeaking by the Panthers and the Bears, or the Raiders this week. So they're not looking strong. The Eagles, their offense is not really doing much, and the defense is balling out.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. I all of those things are true. I think the Chiefs thing is really the thing I'll say is the most dangerous thing about them is the fact they haven't played well and they're winning games and they're pissed off about it.
yeah,
Like that's super scary. The thing about the Lions that I would say is that like I think like for a young team like that, of course they have Goff, but they've got a lot of young position players and just a lot of young players in general. And I don't know if you saw this, but like Jahmyr Gibbs like did an Instagram post where he accidentally shared the whiteboard to the Lions locker room that had all the plays they were playing, like drawing up for the Packers next week.
Really?
And
I didn't hear that.
Dan Campbell found out about it in a goddamn press conference, and he's
Right,
not
he is-
happy.
Yeah.
And like, so there's things going on there, I think, with like the big wins and like that they've suddenly become a sweetheart team and everything like that. Like, I'm starting to think like maybe all this press is like maybe not a good thing for them.
Yeah.
And the Eagles have a little bit of that we've been here before feel to them. Like definitely Jalen Hurts has that where I'm like, oh shit, like he's playing really well. And then I couldn't believe I heard this. I was driving home somewhere and I just like, I don't do this very often, but I think it was morning talk radio. And some guy was talking about how he didn't believe in the Eagles because I can't get my head around this logic. And he was one of the ESPN talking heads. I can't remember which one it was. And he was saying that like the Eagles this year are no big deal with Saquon Barkley because they can just put anybody into that position. And he used Miles Sanders as the example.
Yeah, I mean, well, okay. So Miles Sanders is the example of how a mediocre running back can succeed behind a superior offensive line. Saquon Barkley is an example of what happens when you put an excellent running back behind a great line. He runs for 300 yards. He had 305 total yards. And actually, let me back up a second because I said that their offense wasn't doing much. Other than Saquon, obviously, he didn't have to do much this week. He could kind of take it easier this week. He got one touchdown. Last week, he had two 70-yard touchdowns. So he's in the MVP conversation, by the way. I mean, which is basically a quarterback award
conversation.
But as of right now, so he was fourth in Vegas odds for MVP after three quarterbacks, after Josh Allen,
Lamar,
and I think Jalen Hurts might have been in that mix. I don't know. But right now, Josh Allen is the favorite at minus 150, and Saquon is the second best odds at plus 350. Lamar Jackson's a distant third at plus 850, actually tied with Goff at 850. So Saquon is second in the voting after a mediocre week. He could set the all-time rushing record and or all-time all-purpose yards record. I know there's another game, but if he sets both of those records, he sort of has to win the MVP, don't you think? The Eagles win the division. It's a regular season award. Doesn't matter about playoffs. They win the division. He gets the record. He's got to be MVP.
I would think so. I mean, I think that also it'd be awesome. This is just maybe more of my feeling about how I want him to win. Let me just put it that way. And the reason why I want him to win is because it's become a quarterback. The MVP is like a quarterback, right? Like we don't do running backs, and specifically running backs. Running backs, we went through a whole phase of saying running back doesn't matter. And what you just described about Miles Sanders in the Eagles system, where yes, you can have a lot of plug and play running backs. Yeah, that is true. And that seems to be where the game is. But when you have somebody like Saquon Barkley, that ain't plug and play. That dude's a stud.
I saw a couple, and this is the kind of thing that does not show up in the box score and nobody talks about, but I saw several plays this week where Saquon was in the backfield looking like he was getting the ball. It's an RPO. Jalen keeps it, and Saquon takes on a defensive end head on and blocks that man for like 2 solid seconds, just blocking him. Saquon is not only like a completely elite running back, he can block guys significantly heavier than him because he's so strong. He never really has to come off the field. Now, when you have a game in hand, you want to give him a rest and everything like that. But that dude is a total package, and I can't thank York enough for giving him to us on a platter.
Yeah, it's amazing that they did that, and and I think that we don't use this term in football at all, but Saquon is basically a 5-tool running back. I don't know what the 5 tools are, but it's like he catches the ball, he can block, he can run the ball. 3 tool, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, but the point is that the people don't even see all the shit that happens. Like when you run an RPO with Saquon, you can't just give up on the handoff. Like
Right.
you got to feel it out. When he rolls out of the backfield, you can't ignore him. Like it literally changes the way the defense has to play that team, especially with the way he's playing now. So, I mean, like the thing is let's say he gets bottled up. Well, they can then they have to do the things that they've already done before anyway. Throw it to AJ Brown and use the weapons.
AJ had a tough day today, mainly because with Devontae out, then they're really collapsing on AJ in the secondary. Goddard is good and he's big and he's stable across the middle and everything, but Devontae is the key to us really being like all facets. If you have Devontae with everyone else, you can't double team anyone. You can't help anywhere. It's one-on-one. And I like our chances there. But
there's something weird going on. Like it's like we just going back on that running backs thing, and I'm thinking about Aaron Jones with the Vikings, where he's not a young guy anymore. And we gave up on old running backs, and Saquon's not a young guy necessarily, and Christian McCaffrey isn't a young guy, although he keeps getting hurt. But like Aaron Jones, fumbled the ball early in the game today, and he totally dropped another ball that could have been, I think, if I remember correctly, was possibly a touchdown. And the thing about the relationship with Aaron Jones and Coach O'Connell for the Vikings is that dude's he's a veteran, so they don't end up sitting him. Like rookies, you're like, oh, go sit down, and then we're gonna bring in the backup or whatever. They just stuck with Aaron Jones, and basically Aaron Jones caught the game-winning touchdown with seconds to play in the game. I think people are starting to realize that a veteran running back who how about Alvin Kamara? Yeah. He's still out there doing shit. So I think the whole idea of this, that the whole bottom line, teams, you're gonna have to start paying your running backs more.
The hate went too far, like so many things do in life. You steer too far. You hit a patch of ice and you steer the wheel and you steer it too far, and then you have to steer back. Like that's what's happening right now with that. Totally. Sure. And they are going to get paid, and that'll probably get to the point where they're getting overpaid, and then they're going back the other way. That's the way it works.
Yeah, good point. Good point. So
cool.
Nice.
All right. Well, we didn't hit hockey, but that's okay. We hit everything else.
Oh yeah, I forgot about hockey.
That's all right.
Yeah, I feel like that. Yeah, that's fine.
We hit college football more than we do usually on this show. So
that's true. That's true.
I have a real men of genius.
Awesome.
That we can wrap up with.
Sounds good.
The OSC podcast presents Real Men of Genius.
Real men of genius.
Today we salute you, Mr. Golf Ball Washer Inventor.
Mr. Golf Ball Washer Inventor.
The time-honored game of golf is a sport of kings. And kings don't play with dirty balls.
Don't play dirty.
Because of you, we give our balls a sudsy tumble every tee. The result? Clean, shiny balls every time we whack them.
Flying high.
Drive after drive, putt after putt, hole after hole. Our dimpled balls stay clubhouse clean.
Keep on driving.
So crack open a nice cold Bud Light, Mr. Launderer on the links. You are in our thoughts every time we jiggle our balls.
Mr. Golf Ball Washer Inventor.
OSC Podcast, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
You're listening to the Half-Assed Podcast Network. Did you know that?